Are you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
Tucker Pullman, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well. Welcome to the PP1 Podcast. Oh, this is going to be a good one. I can tell. This has the makings of an absolute shaker.
He's just all lit up already. He's firing already.
There's so much going on, and yet there's nothing going on. It's funny how this works. It's funny how this goes. Welcome, as the intro said to you. If maybe you're a mouth reading person, not a mouth breathing person, but a mouth reading. I mean, we can speak to the mouth breathers, I guess, as well. I mean, they deserve to be fans of something. I mean, Look at the New York Giants in football. Like, if you're a fan of them, you're a fan of mouth breathers. Just saying. Welcome to the PP1 Podcast, if you can see me behind my windscreen. PP1 Podcast on the Dean Blundell Network. We're going to just chuck that little overlay on there. Yay. Dean Blundell Network. And for the final time, for the foreseeable future anyway, until things change, we are provided our services with Move Health and Wellness. They're going to take a little hiatus. It's fine. But we're going to still support them. I mean, I'm trying to book a massage as we speak.
I went today.
There you go. So
I went and see Dr. John this day. I took Ava in for an appointment. It was good.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So Move Health and Wellness, Dean Blundell Network. We are on the Twitter eve of destruction, which sounds like a sick WWF pay-per-view, but it isn't. It isn't. So we're live on our YouTube, our Facebook, Twitter, Dean's Twitter. So if you want to comment along, go on our YouTube. I already tweeted out a link earlier, as well as our Facebook. Comment along. Join the conversation. It'll be a blasty. Hopefully you can figure out all the people you need to get in connection with before Twitter goes down. Apparently, as they said, as soon as tonight, but whatever. Who cares? You can watch our show on YouTube and Facebook as many times as you want. It's free.
This is how you know we're entering the apocalypse. Like, Twitter goes down, and I heard MySpace is just making a complete recovery.
Wouldn't that be something? So what are going to be like your 5 songs?
I was always been more of a Friendster guy.
I never did Friendster.
I never did Friendster either. I'm just really grasping at straws.
Okay.
I'm just gonna get back. They're gonna
do Twitter
vamp or reignite like ICQ, right?
Like
that'll just I'm be like constant uh-ohs, right?
You know what would be the worst though? Like, so we look at like the ICQs and the messengers and those types of things. They were messenger apps. So It was more of like your close friend within reason. Like you might have had 30 people, 40 people on there, but that's it. With Twitter, it's like a message board of publicity and everything. You wouldn't want to be notified every single time something like you'd go crazy. Be like, no.
I mean, I go crazy just getting notified by my phone. So
yeah, our group chat is on the fritz. So
sometimes I'm in meetings. I gotta mute that shit, and then what happens? Sometimes I forget to unmute it.
That's not good. You know what you could do? Just leave that chat open all the time so you're not missing any dings or anything. They just keep going. So then you're not getting dinged. It's just already open.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess you're right.
I don't know. I'm just trying to help you.
Yeah, no,
just trying to help you.
Yeah, you got it.
We will talk about Canucks hockey, I promise. We were going to talk about, there's a lot going on with the Canucks. Did you see today? I don't know if you saw that they changed, like the... where they normally have like the player montage above Rogers Arena there on each side.
Yeah.
It's just the Orca now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like no players.
Well, it's going. Yeah, that's how you know it's happening.
Mm-hmm. It's happening. Oh, show. So I'm a big fan of that. I would like to see them pretty much break it down DX style and not start over, but bare bones it as much as humanly possible. Do what they said they were going to do, but just do it and make it hurt. And then we move on.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah.
It's going to be a really painful one. Like you're going to get some pieces of skin on there, I think, but I'm cool with that. So, you were showing me your beer. I am, once again, did this on our show on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
So it used to be the Tree Brewing, but now it's Kelowna Beer Institute. So it used to be their vertical winter ale. And essentially it's a rebrand of it, just called Beer Institute Winter Ale. Regardless, great beer.
Yeah, like I might like it better than the Lionsgate. Like I mean, there's better beers obviously than Granville. So it's comparable to that, but it's really good. It's always my favorite. They used to have this stout called the Old School Stout. And it was just your classic dark heavy stout, and so we'd always go in there and we'd hit up the guy to like mix us up a growler full of the winter ale mixed with the Old School Stout, and it was just
like a hybrid.
Yeah,
like a hybrid. They had one. I feel like we've covered this maybe on the show. I can't remember. When the first year they did the cask advent calendar.
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
Like the
you
very
want
first
to
year.
add it to your wins, right? Another one of your contest wins.
Well, no, I didn't get that. I actually had a buddy. I think we may know him, Sasha, hockey player guy. Anyway, he was down in Portland, so he paid me to go for like 5 days and drink a beer so that he could get his passport stamped. He's like, I'm going to give you $40. I need you to go and drink a beer for me for 5 days. Sure.
Yep.
I will do that for you because I'm a team player. So they had, there was the Sarsaparilla, which is kind of like your licorice. There's a few other ones.
Oh, what did you call it?
Sarsaparilla.
Oh.
Isn't that how it's pronounced? Sarsaparilla?
I guess I'm not an expert either. Maybe we should look this up, but I think it's sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla sounds right also.
Yeah.
It's been a few years, so I'm going to go with if you're more confident, then that's fine.
I don't know.
I feel this could be something that you should be right on, and that's okay. But they did one, and I can't remember if this was in the cask advent calendar, if it was just like a one-off cask that they did. But it was the vertical winter ale, and they collabed with GeoBean.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And they did it was basically like a vanilla coffee bean with the vertical. And it was basically like their vertical winter ale on steroids.
Yeah, and so the coffee house that Ryan's talking about obviously is GeoBean is like an Italian.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, what do you call it? I guess it would be
a roastery.
Coffee house, a roastery, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Your gut reaction wants to call it a brewery.
Yeah. They serve coffee. They are
right?
Italian.
They're brewing coffee, but super good stuff. Yeah, that was a good one.
So that one, I told them for like months, I'm like, you guys just abandon your first recipe and just make this one because it's better. Not that the first one wasn't great. It's like you found a secret and now we all know about it, and you're like, nah, we're just gonna bury it, bury it in the backyard.
She's gone.
So yeah, so it wasn't the greatest idea, but maybe one day they'll bring it back. So like I said, Twitter's going down. That's fun. Beer stuff.
What else? The Twitter's going down. Ticketmaster's going down.
Oh yes. We're not going to talk about that.
Canucks are going down.
Yeah. Everything's going down. It's like that Linkin Park song with the Executioners like 15, 20 years ago. It's going down. I'll send you that song. It's a good one.
I mean, you are the authority on Linkin Park stuff. So
also, speaking of amazing music and authority on these things, tomorrow, which is Friday.
You said we're not talking about the Taylor Swift stuff.
We're not. Tomorrow. I got too much of her stuff on my phone already. Like, Dad, did you get the new Taylor Swift album? No, I didn't.
Well, I mean, I know we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about it, but the big screw up there. Obviously, everybody knows about this.
The master of tickets.
So they just released that their general admission to fans has been completely canceled.
Yeah, I saw it. That's brutal.
Craziness.
What a fail.
Crazy. Yeah, there's like U.S. senators are now commenting on having justice come out on them, to having full inquisitions made on how business is being conducted and whether or not they fulfilled promises to their fans or not. Just crazy.
Yeah, somebody's kid didn't get a ticket. That's all it is.
Like most of us.
Yeah, exactly. Some senator's kid, Dad, you said you were going to get me Taylor Swift tickets. We were going to be in a box. Can Mr. Biden get us one? No,
we
can't. You can't. Garden on Ticketmaster, which would be kind of funny. Talk about Taylor Swift tomorrow, November 18th.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this thing on the Jets that they're doing a little number retirement for Teppo Newman and Teemu Selanne. How cool is that?
Both of them?
Yeah, Newman still looks like he could play.
Wasn't Newman and was he 22 or 18? Or something like that?
Oh, Teppo. Yeah. I don't know. I can check. Go ahead.
What number are they retiring for Teemu? 8 or 13?
Probably 13.
Okay, that's cool. So tomorrow, because you've vultured me once again. It's like wherever I go, every football thing, just vulturing me. Nickelback's new album comes out tomorrow.
Oh man, okay. 27. Yeah. 27.
That was close.
Yeah.
I had a 2 in there. That's
Do you think Nickelback is going to break Ticketmaster?
No, unfortunately not. I don't think Nickelback has, and I don't think they want to. I don't think they have the same. I don't think they have the same clout as Taylor Swift.
They break social media, but like in a different way.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I could really go for a pickleback right now.
Well, that's different.
It's been a long day. Actually, I don't even like those things. I don't even do shots. Who does shots?
It's Thursday. It's late.
It's late. I'm on a Bon Jovi Friday today.
Oh, I was going to say, is it Bon Jovi? So I brought this up at work because it was Remembrance Day last week. I'm like, oh yeah, Bon Jovi Friday. Everyone looks at me and I'm like, that's what I'm saying.
It's Bon Jovi Friday. Like Bon Jovi Friday. I
still don't even know what that means. Like, is there a deeper meaning than the fact of that clip that we saw?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's when your Thursday before the end of the work.
What it is, but like, is there a meaning?
Like, why is it Bon Jovi?
There you go. Like, is there a song lyric that connects somehow?
I'm not sure exactly, but I think between the description of what a Bon Jovi Friday is and why they would use Bon Jovi to use Friday, I think we're halfway there.
There you go. That's what I like to see. You know what I saw today? Actually, yesterday. Yesterday, I saw our good buddy Kyle's helping us out with this. They're not done yet, but you guys are going to have an amazing spring if we can broadcast this however we could.
MySpace.
Exactly. I saw a ball marker today, a PP1 podcast.
Oh.
Pretty banging, folks. Ted, I'll have to send you a DM later of what they look like. I got a quick little 10-second video, dual-sided. Our boy is taking care of me. He's also been trying to take care of me in the fantasy football world and trying to get Alan Lazard, and I said no. So that's
are you saying are you on the no train because you got kind of got hosed a little bit on that one trade, so now you're trying to make up for it?
There's probably like a 10% yes to that. Mm-hmm. But I'm also a win away and he's a loss away from me making the playoffs and him not making the playoffs. It's literally that close. And I'm laughing because I thought
PPR league?
Standard, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have those buttons. I'd have to switch podcast things on here, so that doesn't work. Let's get into Canucks talk. Our shenanigans have gone on long enough. But before
what's that place you guys always go to with all the shit on the walls?
Shenanigans? Yeah. Oh, damn it. So
it's powdered sugar. It's delicious.
First and foremost, this is a public service announcement to every Canucks podcast that's out there right now. You're going to need to change your intros pretty quickly because if the rumors are true, you're not going to want to hear a podcast intro that has, Brock Besser in it. Maybe Thatcher Demko. Maybe there's a Pod Colson trade in the future. Maybe there is a Luke Shen. Maybe a Quinn Hughes. I'm just kidding. Quinn Hughes is thing. You're going to need to change your podcast intros because I've heard them, folks. And it's a lot of clips of just Canucks people scoring or making saves. We went down that road, Neo. You know how it ends.
I think we should redo the podcast in the interim, right? I think after this show, we should put our heads together and redo the podcast intro with Brendan Convery scores and Maxime Ouellet great save, Murray just littered with not even Murray Barons, not former Staples. We're talking about former Canucks for a minute. What a hit by Mike Stapleton.
Derek Roy.
That kind of stuff. Derek Roy would be a great one. Like that's the perfect candidate. Like instead of like Jarko Ruutu, we have like Christian Ruutu in there. Oh, Carter Banks, yeah. Bert Robertson. Like we should just go straight all name team with it. Put a Harry York in there, maybe.
Sven Butenschon.
There you go. Now we're really getting there. Yeah.
Okay, that's not a bad idea. So anyway, folks, if you listen
Martin
to us,
Brochu, yeah.
Yes, if you take us seriously, Johan Hedberg, Carter Zerbe for the fans at home. Change your podcast intro because it's about to become obsolete very, very soon. One of the players that may be on the go, if you will, a certain this person.
Bo on the go! Hi, Bo buddies. This is Desi, and I'm Bo. Wizard! Are you ready to go? Bo on the go! Bo on the go! Bo on the go!
It's a shame. You really need to see the video.
When you move with me, you give me energy. You'll have the power too!
It still sounds the same after all these years.
So when you get on the go, Bo, 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 on the go! Things might get in our way. We need your
Oh,
help.
we're still going.
You
Yeah.
move, I move too.
Okay, we're going to stop that because I'd like this video to get played at some point. Bo on the go, it sounds like. And rumor, the big rumor, again, I know you've been kind of on Twitter today, maybe yesterday even, Columbus. The Lumbus. Could that happen? Could we see a Kent Johnson come to Vancouver?
I mean, I would like that. I mean, you remember when we did the draft preview show back in the day? Kent Johnson was the guy that I really wanted Vancouver to key in on.
That's true.
And obviously things changed, but yeah, I mean, if Kent Johnson could make his way over, we'll just say back home. Yeah, that would be phenomenally exciting. I think that's the kind of trade that has to happen for this franchise, right? And who knows if they'll even be able to get something like that done, because they're trying to free up money at the same time. There's going to be scenarios where they're going to have to give players up with an asset, lose a trade to move some money off the books.
But do you think giving up Bo, though, that they could actually get a player and an asset, like another asset? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. The shitty thing about Vancouver right now is just they have like next to no leverage. So Bo's got some leverage. Yeah, but Bo's obviously got some leverage in the fact that is he still second in the league in goal scoring right now? Like that's pretty good.
It's a footnote.
But you know, trading for guys on 1-year contracts, and he's gonna get a raise. He's got a little bit of warts in his game,
but he's fully developed. Like, you know, you're getting him at the pinnacle point in his career.
You know, to me, it's a no-brainer. You should be able to get a pick and a prospect, or a player and a prospect, and we're talking like a high-quality prospect here. And
yeah,
to me, it's a no-brainer. But it was a no-brainer when, you know, they should have dealt JT Miller. It was a no-brainer when they should have made any of the trades that they should have made over the last little while here. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if this management team took an L just to move salary out either. Like it's shitty. We're in that mindset where nothing is going to be shocking.
Yeah,
it's just going to happen, and we're going to be pissed about it if it's not what we want to see. So it doesn't shock me. It wouldn't surprise me if they just didn't trade him either and just like continue to pad stack, because this team has proven that they've done that too. So, you know, I think the more concerning thing over the last little bit here is you still have guys like maybe the guy with one of the biggest contracts on this roster just straight up saying he doesn't want to waive his no trade clause.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for that. You know?
Yeah. We just took a big OEL on that. Yeah. We talked about last
so
week.
Interesting.
Yeah. We take the L.5, right? Take half an L, and we can't even get an L there.
Yeah, it doesn't really I mean, it matters. All of this matters. I think you just, when they start making trades and players start getting their way out the door, if that's indeed what happens, because again, nothing could happen, and that would be par for the course for this squad too. If all it does essentially is it it either expedites the process and it turns this like 3-year rebuild into like a 2-year rebuild, or a 5-year rebuild into a 3-year rebuild, or not really. I think they just need to reset, and they can't really reset. They can't really get themselves out from under this big nasty shadow until the cap is taken care of. And this whole talk of weaponizing cap space and what you can do. I mean, you're only as good as your cap, when you're trying to make changes, you can only make as many changes as your cap allows. Right. Yeah. So that's why we hear all these guys, these truthers, right? The Tyler Meyer truthers and the OEL truthers and the Brocks, and who else makes lots of money. Let's just throw that person in there too. Right. These guys are good players. Like, see, you really notice them when they're out of the lineup. Like, yeah, obviously they're good players. The team is significantly shittier with them in the lineup.
Yeah.
But what are we looking here for? Are we okay with having a bad team that spends to the cap? Or do we want a bad team that has, 20 surplus million in cap space, depending on who moves out the door and who comes back in?
I think you look at this season, and we'll get into it in a second, where the coach is kind of sitting as well. But why not be able, like you said, to have that cap space and go in, and now let's say you move out Bo, maybe you move out Brock, and maybe you're moving out a couple guys before the deadline, and you start seeing where things are going. You're like, all right, 2 big pieces moved. Here's what's coming back. Let's figure out where we're at the deadline. And we have all this space left. So now you look like, oh, well, we need this guy now too. So now you can start, maybe you can move an OEL at the deadline, or a Connor Garland, or like, I don't know what the configuration is of players. Maybe it's a Bo at the deadline, or Brock at the deadline. And now you think, okay, well, now we've done all these things. We've moved out these guys. So now we can take on more cap in the, in the form of whatever that player looks like, and think, okay, we did all those things. So now we did a new thing. Now we've got a new part of our rebuild because we did the first things up front. So now we can expedite because this guy is now available to us, and he wasn't available 4 months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, I think availability is also obviously a big part of it, like you're saying, right? But you're right. There's so many doors that are closed right now that they don't even know. They want to make trades, and they literally can't make trades because this team has been so.
I got it itching my nose. I'm not picking it. I'm not.
And then they've gone and hamstrung themselves even more, right? I mean, the Miller deal, perfect example. I think if they were to look back, I think they probably quietly look back already and are sort of a little bit annoyed that they put themselves in this spot, right? Because now they feel like they're in a position where, okay, we made the trade, we got Miller. Okay, now we're doubling down, we're re-upping, and now we have to move Bo. And I don't think they're thrilled about that. But I think
they did the same thing, but not with goalies this time, like the Luongo Schneider thing.
Yeah. I mean, the second that deal was made, the writing was on the wall. I mean, we all called it right from the jump.
Yeah,
that Bo is the odd man out here now, right? I mean, it went from Besser to Bo in like the course of one contract signing. So I don't really know what the plan is here, and I continue to not, after 8 some odd years, to not know the direction of this team. This team doesn't even know the direction of this team, and if they knew what the direction of this team is, they wouldn't tell anybody that they just didn't know what the direction of the team was. Like, that's how silly it is, right? It's like the classic, you don't even know enough to know that you don't know. Like, they just don't know, man. Like, it's sad. So I'm ready, just like I've been ready for a while now, to see changes. And I think there's a very, very, very limited amount of people on this roster that I feel like have to remain here.
So did you see my tweet? Was it yesterday?
I didn't, sorry.
Okay. So I basically said, for a real rebuild to happen, there actually is only one guy that's untouchable.
Oh yeah. And so this goes back to a conversation that you and I and Brady actually had when Brady was a part of this podcast some 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. It was a wider, I mean, it still kind of came down to 3. Someone made a good point about Pettersson being in the 2. I said it was Quinn Hughes, and then that was it.
If you can only pick one, if there can only be one, right?
Highlander, yeah.
Then it's Quinn. There just has never been a player like this in the organization that I can remember. Like, there's been some guys that were good.
Yeah.
Right. But really there isn't all these other people, they're all replaceable to a certain extent, right? Like you can't really replace what Quinn does for your roster,
Yeah.
right? So
And you look at
just
a lot
ask
of other
Colorado.
pieces. Yeah. I mean, and they have the better version of what we think we have.
They really do somehow
Like they
against
have
all
like
odds.
they have like the premium in-app purchases, black
It's like the platinum
card.
edition.
Yeah, they've got like all the bells and whistles, like we roll out the red carpet every time this guy shows up version of Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, like you have your Escalade, right? But like you're really close to getting, and it's like you bought the pimped out Escalade, so like good job, Ryan. But
Yeah.
like you didn't know that there was a one-off DJ Khaled Escalade that you clearly would have bought.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Rolls Royce makes one now? Oh, didn't know about that. Yeah. Oh, the doors open like a V? That's weird. It's like, yeah, it's really cool, but you wouldn't get it. So I look at this team and I think now it's not like they're going to part off the entire team. Don't be stupid.
Mhm.
Like nobody thinks that. They're not going to literally break it down to the rims and put on blocks and just walk away. It's not a chop shop. There's going to be a lot of guys that stay. However, there are a number of guys that they can move. They can do the things that Calgary and Montreal did and Florida. You can move those guys away. They are valid. They will get value somewhere, and you will get value back. That is how the game works.
Mhm.
They understand that you have an asset that you need to move. You may not get exactly what you like, but you're still going to get an asset back. It's not like they're going to just be like, here's like a bag of trash. Sorry.
But Ryan, you're right. They're gonna move what they have to move, but they're not moving everybody. It's not, I'm a 2-win team in my fantasy football league, in a keeper league, so I just need to sell the farm. It's not going to be that, right? They're going to want
No.
players. There is players on this roster that are good players in the correct roles and so on and so forth. A bunch of them, in fact. Right? Luke Shen, sure, it's a perfect example of a guy that you'd love to have on your roster as a number 6 defenseman or whatever. Kyle Burrows, same thing. That's probably your perfect number 7. The issue with just going and selling off everything is that they actually need to keep on to certain members of this roster, but anybody who doesn't have a cap friendly or cap flexible contract isn't a part of this team, in my opinion. And that means taking losses on terrible contracts like a Tyler Myers.
Yep. And again, it goes into what we said about last week, like taking those L's. It's they turn into W's, but you have to look at the L in the first place.
It's so negative right now in where many of these players sit in terms of value that you just simply removing the value and taking a loss for some of these guys, definitely not all of them. So I don't want people to get the wrong impression here. Taking an L on a negative value, creating a double negative, right? I mean, is essentially going to free up the cap space. For some reason, having more money on the books
negative
than a good player is going to be a bigger asset to you 2-3 years down the road when you've hopefully reconstructed this roster to be somewhat competitive. It's already not competitive, so I don't know why anybody cares, to be completely honest. It's amazing to me how people really want to live and die by this current roster still after all these years. Look, would you rather be bad and spend to the cap, or would you rather be bad and have opportunity to get better because of cap space? It seems like it's a cut and dry no-brainer to me. It really does.
Like, I think, and I was kind of listening to other podcasts as well. We're all talking about this. Everybody's bringing a different take to what is going on here. If we didn't care, we wouldn't be going into this so in depth about all the different ways that it could be done. We all still seem to get to the same points at the end. But it's because we care. Like, I want to see the Vancouver Canucks do these things.
Sure.
Look how crazy things were last year when they did fire Travis Green and when they did get rid of Jim Benning and Weisbrod. That was the first sign that there was going to be real change, that they finally said enough is enough. Now, in the short term after that, yeah, things did get a little bit better. Then they doubled down on some things that they shouldn't have and realized, oh, geez, okay, that's what they were doing, or hopefully that's what they realized.
And they're like, crap.
Yeah. Oh, we did it again. Say it again, Bart. Think we're rebuilding. Yay! So yeah, we want to see this happen, and that's why all of the real fans, probably not a lot of the ones that are just cheering it like, "Oh man, I can't believe the Canucks are doing this." I want to see them get back to it. So it does mean that it's going to hurt. But I mean, we were watching games in.
But how much more could it hurt? Could it hurt because you have a personal attachment to a player? Like how much more could it get hurt? This team is already
can't.
like unprecedentedly bad.
Like, do you remember when they went to Nagano?
I mean, that was a while ago, but yeah, I
It
remember
was a
when
long time ago. But like,
Yeah.
we were staying up watching these games. I'm like,
Still say
these
they
are
should have put Rod Brindamore in on the shootout.
no. The Canucks, when they went to Nagano, we didn't have Rod
I
Brindamore.
know.
This was the worst version of that.
This
No,
was
I
Donald
remember.
Brashear on wrestling camps. Yeah.
I'm watching this, and I remember it was so late or early, whatever you want to say, in the morning, and I'm like, why am I watching this? This is not good hockey. But I'm up at 2 or whatever it was, 2 or 3 in the morning to watch the Vancouver Canucks play in Japan. It made no sense. It made no sense to watch that team at that time. And yet, here I was, an oblivious kid, watching the Vancouver Canucks, play Anaheim in mean-nothing games. Those are actually some pretty sharp jerseys. And that's when the Orca was just coming out, and it was still a fresh thing. This is like the best version of the worst kind of thing. Like, we have all this information now because we're all smarter as a world. We've got all this technology in our hands. We've got all the cap numbers. We've got all these Corsi numbers. We've got all the analytics in front of us, and we can say, hey, man, we know so much about what's going on now. This is how they can get to be at this point. And yet we're still kind of looking back and just like kicking a rock down the road and like, oh, I keep stubbing my toe. Maybe get a stronger boot, first of all, so you don't break your toe. And maybe stop kicking the rock. You know what I mean? Not the real rock. You would never kick the real rock.
No.
He'd lay the smackdown on you. So
on your candy ass.
He would. So let's be real about this. Let's embrace it. Let's embrace the end, the chaos, and let's get back to, like, I'm going to cheer for like a maybe win and know that there's likely a loss first. Like right now, they're getting 2-goal leads. Like the Canucks are actually scoring way more goals than they should be right now. Their power play is insane. Their penalty kill could not be worse. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a few WHL teams that could probably perform better than their PK. That's bad. That's really bad.
The only catch to that whole thing is that, I mean, there's a couple of things actually. How much longer before they decide to pull the trigger on this thing, or is it just rumors because we were locked in the fact that there was going to be a big JT Miller trade? Never happened. And it's happened enough times now that I won't believe it until it happens.
Guys falling syndrome.
Right. I mean, this guy's been falling on this team for like 8 years or more.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, right? And then what has to happen first? Because I mean, we're in the mode right now where there's a certain lovable head coach that feels like he's on the turn here to get doused in flames and tar and feathered. And we all know that once you fire a coach, that resets the clock a little bit, right? I don't need to see that. I don't have to see Bruce Boudreau go. And it's not because I think, oh, I like Bruce, he's done a great job. I only don't want to see him go because I think it resets the clock on the plan to make the trades and move the peoples. Right? I mean, if we trade him, does that mean shit? We got to wait 2 more weeks of shittiness now before they implement their new coach and then they decide to make these trades? I'm just ready, man. I'm ready. I think we've been ready for a long time.
I'm going back to what I said in the spring. You can now fire the coach. You can move the players, and Ted, you bring back the skate jersey, and you make that the big deal because we are stupid enough to get it that we will fawn over that jersey for a while. Let's just run with that. It's cool because we're going to forget. And then when things do catch up, they'll have already put something in motion.
Can you imagine if they like pulled a Seattle Sounders and were like, give the fans like the vote on what they should be doing with the franchise? Like, could you imagine what would have happened?
That would
hilarity ensues. First of all, the fans would lynch each other.
Oh yeah, it would be mayhem.
Yeah, you'd get all the guys like Tyler Myers is the best. Like this, you all read it wrong. you know, you're gonna rue the day. You're gonna have all those people, right? And they're just gonna live and die by any terrible version of a Canucks decor that wants to stay here. And then you have the realists, right? That are ready to make these trades, and then they're gonna fight.
Someone's gonna get doxxed, and it's gonna become real.
Yeah.
Like, we should have never done this. Whose idea was this? Wow, we heard a great idea on Reddit, and here we are. So don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
You saw Kuzmenko got a healthy scratch the other night, hey?
Yeah, stupid.
You know what wasn't
stupid? That's a coach. That's a coach in survival mode, right?
He needs to do something like shock value.
Yeah, not even shock value. He's trying to win right now, right? And so
he's one of the only producing forwards.
You bench a Kuzmenko for God knows what justified reason, and then and then we're at the point where like Spencer Martin is now stealing starts from Thatcher Demko, who might be one of the worst goalies in the league right now. This is not actual Thatcher Demko, but that's what's happening.
Do you think it's because of an injury?
I don't know. Maybe I doubt these guys have given up, but I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe he's just fucking tired because he's been the only thing keeping this team above water for the last 3 years. And God damn it, it gets hard to swim when you're trying to drag around a bunch of babies and then they throw you one more. Right? Like I heard that funny comedian, I can't remember his name. He was like, "Oh, like I have like 5 kids and we recently just had another baby," or something like that. And people always ask me like, you know, what's it like having another baby after you've had 5? He's like, well, imagine you're drowning and someone throws you a child. Imagine you're drowning and someone throws you a baby. Like I feel like that's how Thatcher Demko has felt for the last like 2-3 years, right? Like I don't know. I feel like the guy needs a little bit of a reset. Like even Carey Price got tired, right? And at some point, the Habs realized that they had to do more than just build out what they could to put. But
he hasn't even been here that long, Ted.
He hasn't.
Like, when you think about it, like look what the Canucks had with Luongo when he first got here. Like his first year, it was Roberto Luongo.
It was and it was a defensive stingy team.
That's my point.
You know what the difference was between that team though and the team that he's on now? A marked improvement and change in philosophy. A development in players and growth. That's never happened in Demko's entire time in this franchise. That's got to wear on people, right? Like that's got to wear on a guy, period.
Yeah.
And not just Demko, like Petey, Hughes, anybody else. Please get these players some help before they just like fall into obscurity and decide to live the rest of their careers in the pit of despair. Princess Bride.
I got it. Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking about Luongo. I don't know if you did see this on TSN.
Did you see his new pad setup that he got?
Luongo got a new set?
He did. He got a new set. I think it was given to him or something, but it's 3 different stacks, and it's like the Vancouver colors and like the green, blue, and white, and then it fades into like a Sunrise, Florida landscape, and then it fades into a Team Canada setup. It's pretty cool.
Where did you
go to the Canucks? Canucks Twitter probably has it if Twitter's still up and running.
Luongo pads. Sparing some time, trying to find it. Ryan is singing. I'll have to find it later because I can't find it right now. No, I haven't, but I'm assuming they're awesome. And knowing me, I'm going to want to see this very, very soon.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Super mega dope.
I'm excited for this. So anyway, Luongo and the Sedins, they're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was fun.
Pretty awesome. Did you watch it? Did you watch that wasn't your chance?
Yeah, no, I love that stuff. I just was busy, so I didn't have time to watch it.
You had more important things to do than watch a 3-hour 2.5. Yeah, I get you. That's fair. It was awesome. It was, I mean, a little bit heartbreak, a little bittersweet. I'm just trying to find those pads still. A little bittersweet because it just, sometimes just, they're final. And I mean, I'm not stupid, but it does bring some finality to some things. Like when Luongo came, I was talking about this at work today. When Roberto Luongo was traded to the Canucks, that was probably one of the best days as a fan that I can remember, because it was rumored to potentially happen. And just like everything else, so many other rumors, they usually don't pan out, right?
Mhm.
And then, oh yeah, those are dope. And the
Share it.
C on the top, oh, those are sick. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So then it happens, and our good friend James Rayburn, I think, was on holidays or something when it happened. And I'm texting and I'm trying to call him, leave a voicemail. I'm like, please call me back. The Canucks just traded for Luongo. I'm losing it. I need to yell with someone right now because I can't contain myself. And I'm just losing it, absolutely losing it. So anyway, that happened. Then there was the moment that we dreaded the most, was that they were going to trade Luongo back to Florida. And I knew it was coming. I had blogged about it, and there was some finality to that because I thought, when it happens, that's it. That's when this all ends. And then it happened, and I had a moment because, for what he did for this franchise, for as a fan, as everything else, like, Luongo was a pretty special player. He's still, I probably need to question myself, like, where he sits in like my fandom of like Bure, Bertuzzi, Luongo. That's it. And I don't know if I still rank.
Was that your top three?
I think so.
Wow. Our top threes are very different.
Like, I had McGillney in there, but those are other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask James Rayburn, they're actually quite funny. But like, Bure is when I became a fan. I wasn't really a big Canucks fan. I kind of was getting into hockey because of my dad liked it, and he liked the Bruins at the time. So I started liking the Bruins, go figure. Cam Neely and Ray Bourque and Andy Moog, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then my cousin's like, you got to see this Pavel Bure guy. And then that was it. I just did see him one time. Like, okay, this guy's insane. He's doing things that shouldn't be done. And then I again, looking up to my cousin a bit. And that was it for me. And I became a Canucks fan. So then it just kind of goes from there. Obviously, Todd Bertuzzi was pretty rad. West Coast Express, everything that he did. It was just so fun to like a guy that was kind of unlikable in a way. And he was kind of like our badass. He was our like heel, but he was a fan favorite heel, and he did awesome things. And then to see that parlay, actually, it's funny because they all kind of parlay into each other, which is crazy. Then you get into Luongo. So when that all ended, it was one of those things. So, just kind of a big deal seeing Luongo. And it was funny because he always had a lot to say, like throughout his career. Like, he was a bit of a talker, obviously. And yet on his speech, like, he had a really long speech, but it was almost just like he couldn't really figure out how to say what he wanted to say. Like, the moment was bigger than him, which it clearly was. And then you go over to the Sedins, and for guys that were really quiet for a lot of their career, they put on a show. But they didn't mean to be showy, but it was funny. And so Daniel goes up and does this thing. You've seen the clips, obviously. And then Henrik comes up and he goes, everybody knows that I've contracted COVID recently, and it was a last minute decision to be here. And he gets into a few things about that. And he goes, it's power through and da-da-da. And he goes, and like the coaches always said, Henrik at 70% is still better than Daniel at 100. And I like audibly, you talk about an LOL. I did laugh out loud, and my daughter just kind of looked at me and she's like, Dad, what's so funny? I'm like, that was one of the funniest things I've heard.
And you're like, that's math, sweetie.
Yeah, it was. Math is awesome. So it was so funny. And then they panned to Daniel. Just like, it was good. It was classic, but they were classy guys, and they made it fun for that last hurrah kind of thing. So very, very cool.
They did such a good job. The last, I think people, they didn't get enough credit, I think, for like actually how charismatic they were.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they had this like, sort of monotone persona that they kind of went with, and they owned that, and it was great. But every once in a while, you'd sort of catch a glimpse, just like that quote there, right? And they would just sort of slyly drop them in, very off the cuff, right? And this weekend they were kind of doing that a bunch, and they had sort of shared that story about like, oh, like have you ever played a trick on the referee or whatever and said that you were Daniel when you were Henrik, and his story about no, but I have been waved out of the face-off circle and made my effort to skate around the dot and a few players only to skate right back into the circle and take the draw again, which I thought was fucking priceless. Like,
do you remember that game? Do you remember seeing that?
I don't remember it, but like, I feel like there was more than one single game that they did it.
Yeah, I'm sure it happened. I do remember, if there only was one game, because I remember, he skated, got kicked out of the face-off and skated around. He came back in, and I think one of the guys looked at him, and then they did the face-off. And I remember saying, I think we were married at the time, so my wife, and I said, they just let Henrik back in the face-off circle. I said, and no one called him on. And then the game went on, and a few of the players, I feel like it was like San Jose or St. Louis or something. And I just remember looking like, there's no way that they allowed that to happen.
Joe Pavelski out there like losing his mind.
But it happened. It is. That's so funny. So, I mean, the My NHL commercial, like the Swedish twins.
Oh, yeah.
I got a loony. I got a toonie. Oh, cool.
I got a loony.
Yeah, just great. So, I mean, the Sedin's just so awesome. It well-deserved. The fact that they went in first ballot Hall of Famers, all three of them. The fact that it was 3 Canucks at the same time, again, super cool. And the one thing I really, really thought was special is they went in as individuals.
Yeah,
both Sedins. They didn't.
Yeah, I
go
was
in
really
with
worried that the league was going to do the twin thing, and that I really just didn't want that to happen. I wanted there to be some level of separation for them, for sure.
And they got that right, and I thought that was great. So that was the one thing that I was kind of worried about, and I think the NHL did it justice, and rightfully so. They were great individual players, great individuals, and it was neat to see them both go in. And obviously, big win for Canucks fandom and the organization and all that. Obviously, the Brian Burke story we've all heard a million times.
Mm-hmm. So I will say that we, at least in our lifetimes, I don't think we'll ever see another situation unfold like that again.
No,
2 players, twins, same organization, same history, such similar career paths in terms of points.
Mm-hmm.
All the way up to, I mean, literally Hall of Fame careers, some of the greatest that ever played the game.
It was too intricate. It was too intricate of a collection to happen.
Yeah, and I really, and I'm always jealous of this tweet that you have pinned, which is you all took the Sedins for granted, and I think that just rings so true, and I think that just like personifies them as hockey players and twins and individuals on the whole.
It really, you're right. And you look at where this and I think that's why, because I continue to look at this organization. I think, man, we did take them for granted, and everything they did, as much as we celebrated it, they should really trade the Sedins, or they should really, let's really build the future. Well, no,
I will rage you to say that it's as rare. What they did is as rare as a Wayne Gretzky.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Just the sheer numbers. Obviously, they're nowhere near the player that Gretzky was.
Double though.
But what they did, as
maybe you're right.
His careers, right? And the situation and circumstances in which they came up and finished their careers, and I don't think it'll ever happen again. Maybe in any sport. So as rare as a Wayne Gretzky, who knows? Maybe that circumstance is even more rare.
You know what? That is a really interesting debate. And if there is a Twitter tomorrow, I would like to debate that. That's actually a pretty good question. I do have one good debate that we can get into at the end of the show. We did have some questions from Twitter, and I mean that I can see there's really only one from our good buddy Dan Mackles, who him and Bert have quite a thing going. Books and body checks and books.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was just about books, though.
So far, not a lot of books. There's also secret.
I got to be honest. I tuned in and I really just thought that it was going to be about books, and I was kind of disappointed that there was.
Did you see the new episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, today's episode. There's a shocker in that one.
Books, though. Books.
There's a book bombshell in there. So if you actually didn't, then I suggest. I was up late last night getting this all
Great
ready.
guys, by the way.
They are great. Oh my goodness. I was getting our show ready last night, and that stupid commercial came on again, like 4 times. Cars for Kids. I'm not mad at the kid on the commercial because he's not singing. He's lip syncing, and I know this.
I thought it was going to be the one. I thought it was going to be the Sarah McLachlan Arms of the Angels SPCA commercial again.
No. It was the Cars for Kids one, and that stupid song. I said, if I hear it one more time, I'm gonna like punch a puppy. So
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to know though.
Dan asked me. He says, "You didn't punch a puppy, did you?" No, I didn't, because that's cruel.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't actually do that. That's just wrong. So anyway, they need to stop that commercial because it's a bit much for me.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I'm gonna send it to you. It'll trigger you so quickly. And he's like this smug little, like, he kind of has Can
you just play it?
I could probably find it. What's the nerdy kid in Boy Meets World? The blonde one?
Oh, the little one?
Yeah, he had like the Poindexter glasses. He was super smart.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Anyway, he kind of looks like a chic version of that, and they're all not playing actual instruments. Cars, Kids. Oh, this is so bad. With the fact that you're actually, hey Ryan, can you play this? There might be
1877 Cars for Kids.
I already hate it. Please stop.
Cars for Kids. 187.
Thank you.
I'm gonna send you the link just so you can.
I'll just hit it up on Spotify. It's fine.
I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should just do what I said. My final thing that I wanted to get into, and then we are out of here for the evening. And I got this from another show. They were talking about this, and it made me question: what do you think is more valuable, or what would you take? Maybe cap space or draft picks? What's more valuable?
Well, I don't know. That depends. Do we have no cap space? Like we're spent to the cap and we've acquired a bunch of draft picks. How many draft picks am I acquiring?
I think at the end of the day, it's just like there's draft picks and there's cap space, and you have to pick one.
Frankie Corrado is on SportsCenter. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, he's done.
Stay on right. Yeah. Okay. There's a couple ways of thinking about this. So if I have draft picks, I make draft picks and I acquire assets. And really the whole name of the game is managing your assets. But I guess on the flip side, to manage your assets, you have to have cap space. So I think that on the whole, like, I think that you'd probably rather have the draft picks. However, I think Colorado proved last year that you don't have to draft really well to win yourself the Stanley Cup. And if you have the cap space and you make the right trades, you can do the things that you need to do. So I think, and somehow against all odds, Vancouver's managed to do both of these things and have no cap space and no draft picks.
He's like, you know what? There's a garbage can. Just put them all in there.
I think if I don't, just because of how Vancouver has been looted and taken advantage of in the last few years, because they don't have draft picks, they've had to surrender. Because they don't have draft space, they've had to surrender draft picks. And for that reason, I think I'd rather start from scratch and have I think I'd rather have cap space to work to acquire myself draft picks. Because you can weaponize cap space, right? You can.
Well, you can
take on. Yeah, you can take on bad contracts.
You can do it. You can weaponize cap space.
Yeah, you can. Did I say can't? They can.
No, you just said you can, and I'm emphasizing that is an option that you can do.
So you can weaponize cap space. So I would rather have cap space in this scenario. I think because you can take on bad contracts along with good draft picks. Sorry, bad cap space along with good draft picks. To restock your cupboards in that manner, guys on expiring contracts, people who want to get out from underneath contracts, to get your hands on high-end draft picks. So if you have that low of a roster that's going to be that terrible from a cap space point of view, if you have that much cap space, chances are you're going to be bad. Chances are you're going to finish low and you're going to acquire high draft picks, which you get to keep because you have cap space. Nobody's taking advantage of you, trying to hike assets away from you, making you give draft picks to do so. So I think in this case, yeah, I'd rather have, in a long, weird, roundabout way, I'd rather have the cap space.
Wow. I wasn't actually expecting that answer from you. I was expecting you to go with the draft picks route.
I knee-jerk reaction. I think that's where I want to go with this. But because Vancouver's been so taken advantage of, because they had draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
They had draft picks, but they also had no cap space. And as a result, they've had to give it up to get it.
You know how I'm going to tie this all in before we close? You know, and this is so fitting. The scenario the Vancouver Canucks are in right now is going down on Twitter. Elon Musk has the cap space. He had a good team. He had all these draft picks, and he threw them all into the trash. And he's going to have to do a full rebuild. It's the same
Elon,
thing.
right? I mean, there's ulterior motives at play here. There's
I'm
some
sure
way. There's some way that Twitter tanking in this public forum,
so maybe
on his best efforts, is helping something else out somewhere down the line.
Maybe we need to think about the long game too. Maybe there's another game of play here. Maybe Aquilini's like, listen, you're going to like this when it's done. Or maybe we won't. I don't know.
Hey, man, 6 degrees of separation. I'm sure that all of the decisions that Vancouver makes in the next year or 2 years here will ultimately impact the Cleveland Browns on their course and way to a Super Bowl championship.
You know what? That was a great movie draft day, but it's not ever going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you. Ted,
no matter what.
Yeah. Any final words?
Man, I'm ready.
This was fun.
I'm ready.
I had no idea where this was going. This was fun. I'm ready in more ways than one.
I'm ready.
Obviously, go follow us on everything. You know where to find us if that other thing happens. Make sure. Oh, you got something. Go for it.
So for maybe the first time in the history of this show, we're not going to pick dudes and guys this week.
I was going to say I didn't want to,
and I don't really want to.
Luke Shen was the only dude worth mentioning.
I don't really care to. Yeah, you know what? Luke Shen. He's the dude this week.
I want to hang out with Luke Shen.
I'm sure he's a great guy. He was fun to see at the baseball tournament this year. He seemed like a funny guy and a nice fella. I noticed anybody that walked up to him that asked him for an autograph and a quick picture, he was happy to smile and take a couple of photos with. So I like always seeing that stuff. So
yeah, you asked him like 6 times.
No, I actually didn't ask him. I stayed away from asking NHLers about put me on the squad.
Yeah, right.
Yo, Luke, seriously, how much you lift? No,
man, can't believe you played for the Leafs. What an idiot.
Yeah,
man. I'm making millions of dollars. Yeah, check us out. We're on Instagram. I might need to make sure that Ted is active on there because that may be the only way you hear about anything anymore. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. That's 2 other places. Who knows? Maybe you'll see the show next week. We can still do this. That may be the only way you hear from us. And that's okay. Enjoy the Canucks. Oh, hopefully things change. Maybe we have a new coach. Maybe we don't. I don't know. Here's what it is. I don't know. Just enjoy your time. Enjoy your families. Protect your mentals. Protect your chicken. All that kind of stuff.
I will say, if Twitter hits the dirt and you're a Twitter user, you can still follow me at TEE3REET3 on Instagram. Same handle, same deal. Same goes for the PP1 Podcast at the PP1 Podcast.
That's true. You can do that. Do that. And then
if this shit hits the proverbial fan, we'll be on there way more.
Yeah, they're posting constant photos, like everything he's eating. Like
does every tweet have to have a photo? God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It was funny sometimes, but now it's everything. It's just going to be a constant story, and all you're going to be doing is following stories for the next 2 weeks and just reading, and you don't get enough time to read it. So it is what it is. Anyway, Bo on the Go, Cars for Kids. What a great show. Thanks for tuning in to the PP1 Podcast on the Dean Blundell Network. We got Ted, we got Ryan.